I'm doing a show at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival. It's called Why Am I Like This? It's about love and all sorts of shit, but basically I roast everyone I've ever met. If you like what I do here, get your tickets now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Out on a Limb podcast with me, your host, Kat Powell. Here I am. And our amazing guest for the day, Alan J.
Hi.
Or as I like to call him, Anal Bay.
My government name is anagram for anal dying.
It's really apt.
I don't know what colour I would go for though.
Oh, like, yeah, you know, you've said this before, and I keep thinking you're like death, dying. Like, oh, I don't know.
Why is it called Out on a Limb?
Oh, because it's about going out on a limb and starting stand-up comedy. And also at the time it was because I started it with Jackie, and Jackie has arms that are too long for her body, and I'm just generally have long limbs.
Because I clicked on it and I saw it, and I would be like, why does she have all her arms and legs? So I'd assumed they were an amputee.
Like, what's it called? It's on the TV. With Adam, what's his name? Josh Widdicombe and the other guy.
TV.
You know, yeah, but it's stand-up. It's comedy. Or it's a panel show. The last leg. Because they're all disabled.
Good for them.
It's good.
That is good.
Anyway, total deviation immediately. This episode is probably going to be maximal stream of consciousness because I don't have my wee notebook, and it's also it's going to be the filthiest, most disgusting podcast to date. So if you don't like the horrible things we've already said, this one's not for you, babe.
Well, now it might just be all nice and demure.
I'll
be licking my lips a lot though. They've been very cold.
Just try to taste the Prague off them because you've obviously just got back from Prague. So first, tell the people who you are.
Hi, I'm Alan.
We're girls doing a podcast about stand-up comedy. It's Out on a Limb.
Okay, I'm Alan. I'm from Glasgow, and I started comedy about 2 years ago. It's going very well. And I'm also at uni, and I've just been treated for gonorrhoea.
Yeah.
So that's me.
I told you, it's going to be a classy
Do you know how they treat for it?
How?
I thought it would be pills, but no, she got me to like lie right on my side, got me to pull my trousers down at my arse, and then she was feeling about my arse, and she's like, I'm sorry, I just have to feel for where the muscle starts, and then just it was on Valentine's Day, and then just like injected it right in. She put in an injection to numb it, which hurt like fuck, ironically, and then put in the next injection, which hurt like fuck. I don't think the numbing
you might as well
helped
have just
at all.
The first one.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I feel like glute muscle, that would suck.
It fucking hurt.
Like.
Yeah.
And then there's women who get it done every 6 weeks just so that they can have sex. Not gonorrhea, obviously.
For what?
The contraceptive, female contraceptive.
There's a contraceptive where you get stabbed in the ass every 6 months? Oh.
No, 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
It's very often. You also get we'll just make it educational because if you don't like land up being life partners with women, you probably don't get that much of an insight into this. But yeah, you get patches, you get pills, you get injections, you get coils. The coil's the worst one. That's where they go into your cervix and leave a wee. That's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
Is that like a smear test?
It's like a smear test times 1,000.
Jesus. Oh,
so bad.
I just admire women for how you suffer.
Yes, we do. We are. So
all
that
for
the
the
planet
bobby.
can continue. All for the bobby.
It's all for the bobby.
It better be good. I mean, you see why we complain so much.
Yes.
The amount we go through for
Feminism.
Power to the women, power to the people, or why we just decide to be gay instead. That does work too.
I did eat a pussy when I was in Prague. There's a shop called Mr. Dick, and they do these like kind of cake things.
Yes.
And I went with Silas, who's also a comedian, but he's currently doing a European tour of acting.
Yes.
But he was
Because he's an actor.
Yes, he's an actor. But we met in Prague. His first day, my last day, and I surprised him by taking him to Mr. Dick. And you go up, and it's kind of like Subway. You choose whether you want a dick or a pussy, and then you choose what sauce you want it dripped in. He put his in the dark chocolate one because accidents happen. And He said, again, I'm diabetic, so I was like, I don't want anything too sweet. So, but I'd been off of like high sugary things for like completely for like 20 odd days. So I was like, I'll allow this as a wee treat. And I said to Silas, you know, he's straight, I'm gay. He can have his first dick, I'll have my first pussy, make it special. So I got a nice big white pussy, got it dipped in the milk chocolate sauce, and what was it? I think the guy there said, a nice Brazilian girl. I was like, okay. I got sprinkles on, I believe it's the labia majora.
Yes.
Then I got little Smarties on the labia minora, and then I got just one little pink marshmallow clitoris. And he knew where it was. I thought he was gay, but no, he said he's seen a lot. I said, I have seen a lot of pussy.
That's sometimes the case with Europeans, though, isn't it? It's they don't have the same cultural standards where you go, that's a fag.
He had the most wonderful mustache.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was how I ate a pussy. How do we get into that?
I don't know. I think we're talking about you getting treated for gonorrhea.
Oh, yeah.
And then contraceptives, women, I ate a pussy once. Here we go. This will be beautiful. I told you, stream of consciousness. That's good. I'm excited. I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I wish I had my structure. Like an ADHDer without my structure, I'll be here for like 3 hours and I'll be like, oh, I forgot to ask the yeah, exactly. Exactly. Filth. Promised filth. If it's only getting worse from here. Guaranteed to fit in felching somewhere.
You did it. I'm off the hook.
It's on me now. No, it's not on me. Don't touch me.
Don't touch me, motherfucker.
So, I'll start with the question that I always ask everyone, which is, how did you decide to get into comedy?
I was never a big comedy fan. I would watch it sometimes on like TV shows, like I'd laugh at panel shows. I'd sometimes watch like Frankie Boyle's stand up on Netflix. Then in 2019, my friend was reviewing for The Fringe, and because he has a disability, he got an extra ticket, so I was his like personal assistant. And at that time I was very self-conscious because I'd never really had a proper job. I dropped out of school, and every time I saw someone doing anything, I'd be like, oh, I can never do that. And I was like, but I make people laugh all the time, and that's what they were doing. I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. But that was in 2019. And I thought the only way to get into comedy was to apply for Red Rocks. I started going to that. What happened after that? Yeah, so I kept going, I'll sign up next time, kept shiting it. Then COVID happened. I wasn't fucking doing a Zoom gig. Like, I'll do some degrading things. I'm not doing a Zoom gig. When was it? 2022. I think it was like just summer 2022. I finally got the balls to do it. Signed up, and they got me a date for December 2022. And I was up initially I was writing down some really horrible puns. Like, that was the type of comedy I was going to do. Like,
you are very one-linery. Like, you have a narrative that goes through it, but it's not like you don't drop stuff in. It's like you say a statement and then you deliver.
Yeah. So, I want to work on my storytelling, but like I feel like how it's going okay now so far. I get complimented on like, oh, there were so many jokes in such a short amount of time. I'm like, oh, stop. In fact, Silas is doing he did an English speaking gig last night in Prague, the night after I did it. And apparently there was some feedback for me, which was, oh yeah, he had actual jokes. So I was like, I need to put that on a poster from Metro Comedy Club in Prague. What were we talking about?
You're talking about
Red Raw.
So what did you put down when you were applying for Red Raw if you didn't have any filmed stuff? Did you like self-tape?
So this, in 2022, I think it was different. I think they were more like, if you've never performed before, just like come in, just apply. So I was like, yeah, I've never done it before. You know, this is who I am. This is the kind of stuff I want to do. And then they got me that day. And I was writing puns. That was it. I was writing punny, light comedy. Like, what was it? Like, oh, did you hear the singer for Fleetwood Mac is a chronic shoplifter? Can't you believe how much Stevie Nicks?
Shit
like that, aye. And then, but was I started something. I was like, oh, me and my ex fell out over kids. He wanted to freeze his sperm, but I prefer it fresh. And I was like, oh, that's really filthy. That's funny. So then I just kind of changed the whole thing and just wrote a bunch of like. Most of it was filth. Some of it was about how I grew up. And yeah, then I was up all week writing that. The day finally came. I performed it in front of a friend in Sheffield. First time I'd ever done it, so he was the first person to ever see me in his kitchen. And then all my friends...
harder to do than stage, I think.
Oh yeah,
like to one
especially
person.
for the first time. But he actually laughed, so I was like, okay, thank God. And he's given me some good advice and some terrible advice as well. But yeah, then the day finally came. My friends had bought tickets. I was rehearsing this set like absolute fucking crazy, and then 2 hours before the show, everyone gets a message like, oh, there's been a burst pipe in the venue and we've cancelled the show for tonight. And then they messaged me and they're like, yeah, we can get you another date in April. I was like, are you fucking serious?
Like, it's so far away.
I was annoyed, but I was also relieved because I was sick and I was underslept and I still felt quite underprepared. But Charlie Wallace was running a gig in Ibrox at the time, 5 minutes from my house. So I tried to apply for that, but for some reason he couldn't respond. So I just went to watch in December. Then after it, I went up to him.
I love that. For some reason he couldn't respond, Charlie.
I think it was my fault. Because I messaged him. I was like, hey, I want to try comedy for the first time. Can I get on your gig? And then I went up to him in person. I was like, hey, I messaged you, but I never got a response. And he was like, oh, I thought you shat it and blocked me. No.
Oh, okay. So something weird actually did happen.
Yeah, like his page. I don't know. There was a few instances I think where he couldn't message people back, but yeah, he let me on. I think it was January 12th. That was my first gig.
23 then.
Yeah, 2023 it ended up being. And yeah, it went really, really well. I was so happy. And there was like a lot of people that I'd become friends with or like get on really well with who were doing really well. Like Peter Bell was there, Kyle Samuel was there, people like Ian Pringle, who was hosting it. Russ Daly, he was so nice after I got on the stage. He was like, you get people, maybe the writing is good, but they don't really have like the presence, or the presence is good, but the writing's not good. And he was like, oh, but you have both, and you're really good at both. And I was like, that's so lovely. But yeah, people were really lovely. And it's nice now, like the friends that I've made 2 years later are like, oh yeah, I remember seeing you for the first time. I thought you were really good. Yeah, so that was lovely. And then from there it's just kind of become my whole fucking life.
Because it's just quite addictive, isn't it? You're like, I could just add like, if I just add a joke in here, if I just like cut that little bit and I change that, like it's so finessed. I was writing jokes with my bestie Ariel, she lives in Rome, but we were just doing it over like FaceTime.
Ariel in Rome. Lovely.
Yeah.
Ariel.
It means it's like penis and I can't remember what language, like Urdu or something like that. But
I was asking I was with a bunch of straight guys and I was trying to ask if they would ever fuck a mermaid. Because Ariel.
Yeah.
Mermaid. But no, apparently not. They can't go over the fish thing.
Well, that's nice.
So you're writing jokes with
That's
Ariel.
nice. No, I'm actually glad that there is a line for some men.
There's not.
But yeah, writing jokes with her because I was doing submissions for Breaking the News, and I read one of them that was it was just my first time doing it, and I read one out to her. I was like, there's something just not quite right about that, and I literally added the word "and" in somewhere. Completely made the joke. It like took it from being like, this is an add-on line for the punchline to being like, here's a surprising completion of the sentence.
How you say something really drastically changes it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's different. Like I've spoken to people with like, they don't like to rehearse every word because they don't want it to be like that. But I think I'm kind of in the middle. Like there is a way you can say something to give it like maximum emphasis. Like, because I have seen some people where they'll say one thing, like a friend said a joke to me and I was like, that's fucking great, you need to do that. And then when he was on stage, he said it completely differently and it bombed.
And it's not the same joke anymore, yeah.
And it was like that. He was like, you fucking told me that was good. And I was like, no, you didn't say it the correct way. And it was a shame because it was such a fucking good joke. And I don't think he's done it again because of that.
Because it is so like that though, where it's, because I was watching, so I looked at I did Just for Laughs, or Just One More Laugh, in November. And obviously they record it all for you and stuff. And I was watching that back because I'd been like, oh, that set fucking slapped. That was awesome. I'll just send it to things. And I hadn't actually watched it. And it had been, I went and did it on, again, like this month, early this month. And I watched it back and it was not this exact same set, but like a lot of the jokes, when I did it on the 10th, it was all new material. It was like I wrote it in the 10th. When I'd done it in November, it was all new material. I just wrote it. And then when looking at the same material again, I thought I totally flubbed that gig because I went on stage and immediately forgot what I was going to say, but kind of just had a laugh with it and like pulled my way back round. But the difference between the two, because the next one was just so edited and polished and practiced, and it just makes it so much better once you're like, that was funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so funny, but you even hear the difference between the audience reaction is like multiple, and the second was just like multiple applause breaks, like big laughs. Like
humble brag.
Exactly, humble brag. No, like where you're like, no, I actually smashed there. Even though I totally flubbed it, I totally forgot like what I was doing. I still smashed because at the end of the day, like 4 really hot goth girls came up to me separately and were like, we loved your stuff. And I was like, yes, emo crowd in.
One of the goth girls.
Exactly. Big titty goth girlfriends. Danger. I'll be on the forum.
There are some people who I think are too rehearsed.
Yeah.
Like there are... Did you get that?
I think so.
Anyway, you see some comedians and it's obvious like they feel like they're just reading off a script and they don't give a fuck that the audience are there. I think you have to know your material, but you also have to let loose, have fun, because they have to feel like they're laughing with you. Like I've seen someone where they're just like standing there just telling jokes, and it's like you could be doing this in your bedroom. Like,
you could be writing this online.
Care.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like I did, the Panopticon, that really beautiful old building in Glasgow, this old theatre, fucking freezing, but so historically significant.
But terrible for comedy because everything just goes into the rafters.
I thought it was good, actually.
Was it like busy when you were in?
Well, I did it twice. The first time I did it, it was fairly all right. But I felt really good because it was one of those gigs where it got off to a wee bit of a rough start. Then I got on and you could tell they got really warmed up. So I was like, go me. And then the rest of the gig was going well until this guy got on. And the audience they were laughing the first couple of jokes, and then for the next like 7 minutes it was mostly silence, apart from me just up the back, because I've got a bad case of Schadenfreude. Ooh, I have a bad case of Schadenfreude.
Slap.
That German thing where you get pleasure from watching someone else suffer. Not that I like to watch people dying on their arse, but sometimes if it's someone who's a total
you can't
prick,
help but laugh. Yeah.
it's like, But it was this big old theatre, and literally just joke after joke of silence. You literally heard someone go at one point, and it's like
heckled by a cough.
Hot. Oh yeah, no, I did it 3 times actually. The last time I did it was the Laurel Awards finals.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
You got through to the finals for that, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, of course you did. And I don't mean that in like a, yeah, of course you did.
Thank you.
It's just, do you know what, the first time I actually saw you, and we can talk about this anyway, because this is a good question, is I think the first time we met was the LGBTQ Awards, right? Or competition, whatever it is, new comic.
The LGBTQ New Comedian of the Year Award.
And like, I went up and I was like, yeah, I did. There was some people in that who were not so great. I did decent up there. And then you came on and I just went, oh, well, he's going to win it. And Craig was with me and I just like looked over and I just went, he's going to win this. And he was like, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And I was like, he was very good with it. Like, it's that way where you see someone and you're just like, that is a star. That is like talent. Like,
that was an excellent gig.
You did so well. Like,
yeah.
How did that? Yeah. What?
Huh?
No, you tell me. And then
no, I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about.
No, you
like,
talk about
the gig.
Yeah, no, like you say, it's an excellent gig. What, that night specifically, or the final?
No, specifically the Laurel Awards or the LGBT Awards?
The LGBTQ.
Okay, so I remember I applied for that, and it was in CC Bloom's Edinburgh, early April. Oh yeah, because that was the day before I went abroad for the very first time in my life, all the way to Taiwan. So
life changed.
Yeah, so I performed there, left on a high, because I was like, if I do really shit at this, I'm just going to be on that plane tomorrow feeling like absolute shit. But no, it went really well. They called my name, so there were like 13 of us, 3 people got through to the finals in London, and they called my name last. And the guy I was dating at the time was secretly recording me for my reaction because they didn't say my name last. They stopped recording, and then they went, Alan J. And I was like, yay! But no, excellent gig. There was some audience members you could tell were only really there for their friend and were voting for them even before they'd been on.
And they didn't make it through.
So they told me that the judging was 50% the judges and 50% the audience vote. And they brought, I think, about 12 people and they still didn't get through. So, God, I hope they don't watch this.
I doubt it. And they don't know who we're talking about. They don't know that they're talking about them.
But yeah, so I was really thrilled about that.
Gays were the cattiest. Like,
ironically, because pussy
doesn't like pussy. I knew it was coming.
Well, no, that one I had in Prague was delicious, actually. Yeah. If they all tasted like that, I'd be
was
fucking...
Was it like cake or chocolate?
What?
Was it like a cake?
It was a cake, with chocolate on it.
See, like a
Yeah, a rare treat.
Beautiful.
Rare. Lose a toe over it when I'm in my 50s, but you know, worth it.
It's worth it for
still be alive in their 50s.
You're from Glasgow, you're past it by that point. Like.
What was I saying?
You were saying about being... how the final was the night of the gig, and you didn't think you did manage to get
Comedy
through it,
Awards,
and then
yeah.
going to the final and that.
Yeah, that was really good. And then,
it was you, Eva, and Mara, wasn't it?
Yeah, me, Eva Peroni, and Mara Joy. The three of us got through, and then the finals were in London in May. And big shout out to Mr. Alex McNair. Does Falkirk He started a crowd funder to get us going there. That was really lovely of him.
Very kind, yeah.
And yeah, I remember May. So that was back after I got back from Taiwan, and it was like beautiful and sunny. I was like knocking back some of the most gorgeous guys I'd ever seen. I was like, it was a really beautiful, life-changing experience. And then I get back. One of the worst things I got there was food poisoning. Could not trust a fart for 3 weeks. So I was like in my house just like running back and forth for the toilet. Then wasn't getting on as well with the guy I was dating, so that was causing a few issues. And I thought honesty is the best policy. Be honest that maybe you're feeling it's not going great, which just kind of sent him into a spiral of being like... We were like very close one minute, and then he'd be like very argumentative the next, and I was like, oh fuck.
How long had you been dating?
We met about a year ago. We met in February last year, so it'd been maybe about
4 months.
A month and a half, 2 months, because I went to Taiwan, so we weren't really official. We never really became official, but yeah.
If you're arguing at like 3 months or less, like 6 months or less, you're probably
you're fucked.
Not suited. Not obviously if you've known the person for longer, but if you've literally known someone for that amount of time. You're not gonna.
Yeah, I saw red flags from past relationships, and I was like, we'd probably have to nip this in the bud.
Yeah.
But there was twice where I said, okay, I'm gonna try and commit to this, make it work, and then there would just be big arguments. I was like, oh fuck. So he came to London with me, so that kind of was a bit weird. And when I got there, it was rainy, it was cold.
It was London.
Fucking paid so much money to stay in a fucking cupboard. And yeah, it was and using the London subway as well. Like Taipei has one of the best transport systems in the world. So easy, so convenient, so clean. And then you come back to London, it's just like I can feel my life getting shorter every time I take a breath.
Yeah.
So all that, and then I got to the gig. I'd never gigged in London, and I heard it was very, very different. And I got up there, and I used to start with the very dirty gay stuff, but then some audiences wouldn't be into it, and so it'd take them a while to get them on. So I started a bit stuff about how I came from a rough upbringing, and they didn't like that at all. And I was like, oh fuck, I need to get to the gayer stuff. And then I did get to the gay stuff, and they really liked it, but I never made it through. And so that was just another thing that made me feel like shit, and I was just like, I can't fucking do this. Also, again, like so many new comedian awards, and then like. How new is new? Because it's like I've seen like a bunch of comedy awards. Like I applied for So You Think You're Funny, and because the rules I read said you have to have done 15 gigs or less, including open spots. So I'd done 2 gigs. I was like, fuck, I better apply. But then I got there, and there was people who'd been doing it, like who'd done like 100 odd gigs, and I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it was basically.
But you can only apply once.
I think it's like a year or something. So it's like from. It's like you couldn't have done more than 15 gigs a year after starting or something. There was a weird thing about it, because I read it as that too, and I went and did it when I'd only done like 12 gigs or something. But then there were folk who were on again who'd been doing like, who'd done like 100 or so, and I think it was like it was like before this date in 2024 you couldn't have done more than 15 gigs. So yeah, it new is a question. I mean, there's ones that you've been on where it's like, okay, you've literally been doing comedy for like 10 years. Yeah. Yes, you've not went past 10 spots, but you have still been doing comedy for that long. You can't say that you're a new comedian.
Yeah. So annoying.
And it's
especially when you can only apply once. Like it's fine if it's like the BBC where you can kind of keep applying, but like if you can only apply once, and like they're very strict with the, this many gigs, or they're strict that you can apply once, but they're not strict with the other rule. And a lot of the time it does kind of feel like actual new acts are kind of cannon fodder. They kind of lift up people who are already becoming a success. So
to like show you in contrast. Because it is like, you cannot be good off the bat. Yeah. Like nobody who goes up and does their first gig, you're like, they are you know, they're already there. Like, you might see them and you'd be like, they have the potential to be, they're going to go far if they stick with this, but you can't see like I remember watching the progress, like if I look back at my progress of the past year and a half-ish, and you're like, that, where I thought I was versus where I am now, I had no idea I was going to make as far a leap in as short a time, but it just happens through like hard work. But you are so far down the pecking order when you start. The chances of being like, to just be great, you just can't. You have to pay your dues. It's the rules.
It's weird as well, because there's some things when you start that you're very self-conscious about, like forgetting jokes or checking your notes, and then the more you go on, you're just like, so fuck. Like, I think, I don't know, I suppose it's being a perfectionist, but then like I've seen like Susie McCabe on stage check her notes and no one gives a fuck because you're watching someone who's great and they don't care. I think again, it's kind of faking it till you make it. Just be confident. Like, even if you forget something, just be honest. Check it. The audience will be fine. Like, audiences are not sitting there like, oh, this better be fucking perfect. Like, they're not going to watch a perfect 10 and then be like, but they fucked up that joke 2 minutes. Then, unless they're a prick.
It's like, I paid a whole £4 for this gig, like, or anything. I paid something. Because I came off that gig with Just One More Laugh, and I said to Darren, I was like, oh God, I forgot so much of it there, and blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, what are you talking about? You were fucking, like, you did great there, man. Like, that was so good. And I was like, really? Like, I thought, like, I was, and I'm just so hard on myself after every gig. And I was just like, I just thought that wasn't enough because I had to go check my notes and stuff. He was like, no, like, you got, like, he was the one who pointed out the applause breaks and that, and was like, no, you did well. And I was like, so nice. It's so nice. Comparatively, like a few months ago, I went and did Comedy Cabaret, and it all went well and it was good and I remembered everything, but I'd had food poisoning and like 3 days before, like I just stopped shitting myself, and had to go. And I remember just being like standing behind the curtain at Blackfriars, just going, right, okay, right, psych myself up. You're not going to forget. And I just like had to run on and do it like, and I came off and just went.
The adrenaline really helps you through it, doesn't it? I've had some weird experiences, like especially when I started, and went up stage feeling full of energy, then I got off, and there was twice I had like a really bad migraine after it, and then one time I just had diarrhea, and I was like, what the fuck is happening to me?
I get like this weird tension in my spine that causes me to shake a wee bit when I'm too adrenaline.
I still shit myself at the stand, like before I go on. Like, because that's the one place I really don't want to mess up.
So much pressure.
Like, I'm always like behind it, going through my set, like joke after joke. Like, I don't write out a script. I just kind of bullet point and put a word I associate with the joke in it, so it's very easy to structure and remember. Just like this word. You can
jump back if you forget stuff.
But then when it's like, when I hear them go, "Are we ready for the next act?" I'm like, I'm just like, it's in God's hands now. Yeah. And I'm an atheist, so I'm like, But yeah, then the adrenaline gets you through it. It's very hard to die on your ass at the stand.
Yeah, exactly. They're very forgiving.
I was at Rated Raw, and for some reason the audience in the first half just were not having it, and they were good, but like it wasn't a Red Raw audience where they're like laughing at everything and like giving you all. There was such an odd atmosphere. Two guys came on, one guy came on, did really well, next guy did okay, and then just, I think because of that, it kind of stunk out the room. Like, it took him about 2.5 minutes to get to a punchline. Once he got to it, the stand just played him off after like 5 minutes and 10 seconds. And usually they're very generous.
Yeah, they let me go to like 6 minutes the last time I was there.
They usually let you go about a minute over.
Yeah.
And then I felt so bad, because there was a woman who got on after him, and she's really funny, and I went upstairs during the break, and when she came up to me, it wasn't like, oh, well done. I just went, are you okay? I just seemed like such a cunt. Like, you just died in your ass. How would you feel? But that wasn't how I meant it, because it was like, again, it was just such a weird atmosphere in that room, and to be in front of that must have been just very uncomfortable. That's all I was thinking.
That's so funny, because I did a Red Raw. It wasn't the one, I did one in January, but I had one like a couple of months before that. And Dean was on as well with me, and love Dean because he just is honest as hell, right? And I went up and I did it, and I came off, and everyone was like, oh, good job. And I was just sat there sort of like looking at my phone, and Dean walked in and he just went, are you okay? And I just went, wasn't very good, was it? And he was like, I'm not going to bullshit you. I was like, but thank God someone's actually being honest, because like it wasn't awful, but it just like, you know, when you know it's not your standards and you're like, no, I can definitely do better than that, and I flatlined a bit there. And the fact he just came in and just gave me a big hug and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Like, I was just...
So I finally got to do my Red Raw in April, and there were 2 guys there, and I was like, oh, you know, my first gig here was cancelled by like a leak, and they were like, oh yeah, us too. And I was like, oh, did you do any gigs since then? And they're like, no, this is our first gig. And I'm like, oh, well, this is about my like 40th. I was so excited to do it, but there was one guy who got on and he looked so excited, and he got on, he was like, such good energy, and again the audience are always amazing at the stand, and like he's just like, are we ready for Red Raw the musical? And he started singing, they were like, fuck yeah, and then just died in his arse for like 5 minutes and 50 seconds, got played off, and then he was just sitting backstage on his phone like that, looking miserable. It was like, oh, but I was still very new, and like I didn't know the etiquette, like if someone dies in their arse, are you supposed to just acknowledge it? Because you don't want to go up to someone, like you do get people with... Comedy requires a lot of self-awareness, and you get a lot of people who have absolutely fucking none of it.
Yes.
And you don't want to go up to someone and you'd be like, hey, you feeling all right? And they're like, what do you mean? I did amazing. You used to think I was shite. It's like,
comic delusion, man. It's like drag. I always say that is comedy and drag are so similar because they always run late and required a lot of balls.
Did you ever have like a drag... My drag name is going to be Dana Shite.
That is brilliant. No, I did do drag for a little while. I've done like a few performances in drag, and I used to go by Gingy Bottle.
Oh, what a throwback.
People thought it was Ginger Butthole. Like, bottle. So I then started going by Tatty Scone instead. And I was going to open the House of Ouija and have Freya Bentos, who is now a comedian anyway, which is funny.
What's their name?
Called Freya Bentos.
So but do they have like a...
I don't know what their human name is.
Oh, those are human. Drag queens aren't people. She said it.
No, but I don't think it's a drag queen called Freya Bentos. I think it's actually a stand-up called... a female stand-up, called Freya Bentos.
Sounds so familiar. I don't know if it's just because like the pies. Oh, that's mad. What's the best drag queen name you've ever heard?
I love Lazy Susan.
Lazy Susan.
Or Karen from Finance was always a good one.
I'm just proud of my own. I think Dana Shite's very nice
Dana
and Scottish.
Shite is fantastic.
You could have like her sisters, Anita Shite and Lottie Shite.
Oh, yes.
The House of Shite.
I see the British and the Australian drag names are always the best one. Because it's obviously like in America, it's like, I'm just going to say like Lux Noir London, right?
Yeah.
I love as a queen, but like it's just a name. Or Bianca Del Rio, like they're just names. Yeah. But like having that, I love a pun. I love a pun.
I adore a pun. I've stopped doing them most of the time now though. But they just didn't fit.
I watched you on, so it was a clip from Hot Water, I think. And you have like this flat, gelled to shit bleach blonde hair, and it looks like someone's just put it as a cap on your head. Sorry, just to be you, right? But like, I watched that. So that was a few years ago. That was quite early in, wasn't it?
September 2023. So
it was like relatively early in within your first year. It was really interesting to watch it because I could see, because I don't know if sometimes it doesn't sound like something's going down well because they don't record the audience always, but it seemed like it was like you got a modest reception.
It was very mid.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. Like, again, I like to think I'm very self-aware. I try to hold myself to a very high standard to a fault.
Yes.
But yeah, Hot Water was weird because I was going through a really weird phase with comedy. Like, a piece of advice that I got, and he feels really bad for it now, is like, don't laugh at your own jokes. Because I was like, and I kind of get it, like, one time I saw a comedian who was dying on stage, but they would keep laughing at their own jokes as if it was the funniest thing that you'd ever hear, and it was very weird to watch. And I was a nervous laugher, especially when I started. You could tell I was nervous, but like people were fine with it. Like they were like, all right, that's cool. He's nervous because he's new. But then I kind of got into this very kind of deadpan style of comedy where I wouldn't let myself smile or laugh.
Yeah.
And it was, I noticed I was dying on stage a lot more, or like I wasn't doing as well.
Because people aren't warming to you.
Yeah, and I realised...
The stuff you do is so brutal, and it needs that warmth of your personality to make it feel all right.
Yeah, I remember after that gig, I was so disappointed. Again, stop me if this sounds familiar. I went down to London with an ex-boyfriend. We were still kind of friends, but we were like arguing like fuck for the entire week. Lovely city though, Liverpool. Oh my god, knew nothing about it. Absolutely gorgeous. But I was so excited to do hot water because everyone goes on about hot water, and you see all the clips getting uploaded. I was just so excited, and then I went in there. I was like, right, come on, Alan, we're going to smash it. I was being positive, and then it was just such a middling reception. I felt horrible after that. And I saw all the pictures because I was really excited to get the pictures. I was like, I'm not smiling in a single one of these. I look so pissed off. And I was like, is that really the kind of person I want to be? Like, and then I was like, there's a difference between having a nervous laugh because you're new and then like laughing because you're having fun.
Because you enjoy
with the audience. So I really pivoted after that, and I just went, fuck, not laughing or smiling on stage. Because I was like, all the pros do it. If you go see most professional comics, unless they're doing a very specific thing, they're having a great time up there.
Yeah.
So...
Because James Acaster says that. He says, like, you shouldn't laugh at your own joke if you're a comic. And that makes sense if you're James Acaster and what you're doing is a dry, like, abstract bit. Like, the character of James Acaster is supposed to not find it funny. Yeah. He finds it very serious that he takes all these things far too seriously, and everybody else laughs because they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. But, like, for me, I go up and I laugh a lot, and the reason I laugh is because I'm enjoying it, and it's not that I don't kill my punchlines by laughing through them. That's where you're like, if you fail doing that, but you deliver the punchline, you give it the look, and then you laugh with the audience because you're like, I'm glad you're all enjoying yourself. I'm enjoying myself. We're all having a good time, and I think that's just like good fun. It's just having fun and enjoying it. Yeah. But it's that I have that same thing, I think, where a lot of the material that I can do is quite, if I did it very dry and cutting, it wouldn't get laughs, because Viv G said this to me when I started, is it's just like the contrast between talking about such savage things when like, and we're both the same, like we have like we happy chipmunk kind of faces and big smiles and bright eyes, and it's like if you don't apply that to it, it doesn't read the same. Yeah. Because that's part of the shock and awe of it all, is the... Yeah, you have to like... It's that contrast. Like I've had a lot of comedians say to me, it's like you give off such a lovely, friendly energy, then you go up there and say some of the most horrific shit. Like, you're one of the few comics who's ever had me actually yell their name in the audience where I'm like, Alan! And I know what joke you're talking about, and it's one I'm so proud of because it is so disgusting. It's so disgusting. But it's also so unexpected, and I think it's so funny that people can't help but laugh anyway. And I did a weekend at the Stand in Glasgow a couple of months ago, and Ray Bradshaw was hosting, and he was watching from the back, and he said that after like the laugh died down, you just heard that woman go, "That's disgusting." It's like, yes, it is. Yes. But oh god, I did a gig my second time in Taipei in January, and there was a very big influencer there who has like 250k Instagram followers, and he just fucking just like went when he heard that joke. You're like, that's it, I'm famous. Famous. But yeah, so yeah, after that gig at Hot Water, I was like, right, we need to change things. So I kind of, I asked my friends, I was like, hey, any gigs going? Because I really kind of wanted to work on, I wasn't starting with the dirty stuff anymore, I was starting stuff about my background, which I think I've really gotten down very good now. It is quite dark and shocking. Didn't work for me in London, but most times it works. I was never too confident in the opening joke I used to have for it, but now I am. I think it's a really good joke. So, did you change the joke? Like, did you just rewrite it? Or? No, it was a completely different joke. No, you know, you sit there for ages and you write, and like some of it's good, some of it's bad, and then like you'll be waiting behind like to go on stage. You'll come up with something. Oh, that's quite funny. Yeah. It was one of those. I just thought of it like a minute before going on stage, and then I opened with it, and it got a fucking huge laugh, and now I've been opening with it for like weeks. So. Yeah, it always, those are the best, like the best jokes. I always think it's when it's that one that breaks the tension, because nobody knows if you're going to go up there and talk for 4 minutes and then make a joke at the end of it, or if you're going to go up and just like start out strong, and you kind of need to. I always like to make jokes about my parents because that's the easiest thing to like. That sounds so sad. There's nothing wrong with the way I look. No, but like I always go up and I say like, because for whatever reason I just always wear dungarees these days, and so go up and say, oh, I'm, because now my first joke is about being a millennial, and so I say, despite the fact that I look like a toddler who's really into gardening, or I have like a checkered one, I say a toddler who's lost their skateboards. And this one today I came up with, which is largely inspired by these earrings, which is I look like Miss Frizzle if she was really into My Chemical Romance. Which is just true.
I watched the first episode of that a while ago, and isn't it mad they go inside an asshole?
Really?
Miss Frizzle, the Magic School Bus.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
In the first episode,
Yeah,
I
the
haven't
episode they end up going like, down their throat, and then they're like at the sphincter, and that's how they get out.
I love it. It's a real show. It's raw.
Yeah, it's raw. Going in the ass.
No lube.
Oh. Lubeless.
Lubeless. It's okay. You don't need to.
Oh,
be
you're
like,
the interviewer. I'm waiting for the question.
Yes, just politely. I mean, it's just a gab. So you do not feel like you're going to in any way appear wrong. You're being very tame for you, I feel.
I can hear your dog licking out the bowl, and I was like, is that what cunnilingus sounds like?
a wee bit. Yeah, no, he's eating that. I shouldn't look at him to get his attention. Yeah, he's eating a bit of collagen, and it is absolutely disgusting. Like I can start to smell it just about. It's like smells like dog.
He's very enthusiastic.
Yeah,
good for you. Good for you, Sammy.
They call it a pizzle though, so I think that's like bull penis in my head, but it's not.
God.
It's collagen.
Oh God.
Pizzle.
Do you get people? Yeah, you must get people that eat bull penis.
Definitely.
I certainly do. Ha. What's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
Probably nothing really interesting. What's I eat a lot of barbecued eel.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's my favourite thing from like Japanese.
I've never tried eel.
It's really good. It's quite sweet and like very tender, but not like it's not like it's. You'll like it. It's like teriyaki.
Maybe I don't know if it's sweet, but before I was abroad, I got taken to this Chinese restaurant and I had battered frog, which was
interesting.
But tried pork intestines.
Right.
And I was with my friend from China and all his Chinese student friends, and he said I almost outed him from the closet, and I was like, how? He's like, oh, because when you were eating the pork intestine you said it was like a really chewy foreskin. And it is! Like a really thick chewy foreskin, and because it's intestine you can taste that this has had a lifetime of farts going through it. I don't
like
get the appeal.
an umami to it. Yeah, that is...
Braised cow stomach. I had that in another Chinese hot pot place. Then when I was in Taiwan,
Like
I ate
tongue.
a squid.
I've had tongue.
Do you have a tongue?
Like bull tongue, yeah.
What about the food? Hey!
Bull
Tongue.
Aye, like where they like actually have a. Am I talking shit? I've had oxtail. I like oxtail.
Is that an ox's tail?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, you never know. They have real names for these things.
No, it's it's self-explanatory.
Oh, what was the weirdest thing? I was at a hot pot place with my friend when I was in Taiwan again in December, and I was like, what the hell is this? And he's like, I'll tell you after you take a bite. And it was this big kind of purple, just kind of gelatinous mold, and I just kind of took a little bite of it, and he was like, that's duck's blood. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's not that weird.
No, it wasn't as bad as the fucking foreskin intestine.
No.
But it was a bit weird.
Because we eat blood all the time as Scots and black pudding and
I
that.
don't really like black pudding. Get out.
End of podcast. No, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Scots, you tend to eat blood. It's not that odd.
I mean, I had some horrible things in my
Duck's
mouth,
good.
but then I'll like turn my nose up at like an apple. Like,
Yeah,
just a
that
wee
is-
bit on it, like,
I do feel like that is like the gay way.
Yeah.
To just be like, oh, I will fully insert my entire head in a stranger's asshole. But
oh my god! Oh, that's what I was going to tell you, because like, can you see it on there? Probably not. But the dog has a really big cage.
Yes.
I was like, you could fit a person in that. And I remember I went to a very niche club in Manchester, popular though, and there was a cage like that. And the guy I was kind of hanging out with that I met there was like 6'5", quite heavy built. And he was like, oh, I want to get in the cage. And he fucking crawled into this cage, and he was so big that it all just fell apart on top of him. I was like, oh, you poor thing. Oh, God. And there was a fucking... Oh, I feel bad. Like,
it's a bad cage.
the
That's the cage's fault.
That is the cage's fault, exactly.
That wouldn't
Make
fall apart.
plus size BDSM gear.
Exactly.
But I remember after the event had finished, I walked into the bar and they had porn playing on TV, and there was just like these two big gruff guys. One of them was bent over as the other was like, he was bald, and he was trying to ram his head up the other guy's ass. And I'm like, you're not going to get that in there.
Yeah, it's
No
not
matter
happening.
how much you are a gape.
Yes.
It's not, why would you want to, man? It would stink.
No, it's just the effort. It's extreme. I'm like, there's some sides of like kink that is so far that I'm just like, we should bring back kink shaming. Like, people are like, don't kink shame me, don't yuck my yum, and I'm like, some things should be yucked, and I'm okay. There's some things I like that should there are some things I like that should be yucked, and that's fine. I will not go do them in a public place.
Yeah, I remember I stayed with a friend and I walked by like the kind of like the dog leads and collar, and then it wasn't until I was gone I was like, she doesn't have a fucking dog. I was like, you dirty lady.
You filth.
But you know, good for her, you know, if it's consenting adults, no hurting anyone.
Yeah, exactly. That is true.
Yum your yum away.
My friend was working at the furry convention.
Really?
Yeah, like it was in Crown Plaza, and she works in is it that one? Yeah. And most of it was fine. Most of it was just like people taking photos. Some of it was weird. One of them was like one of our co-workers like meowed at one of the big dogs, and they set them off and they started like barking and running around and like going crazy, which is just people think I'm woke. No, I'll say no to furries. No, it's fine up to a point, but there was people like pure humping, and I was just like dog humping, and you're like, no.
God, there was so much.
Do it in your home.
That was only across the river for me, actually, so quite close to my house. I remember going to the McDonald's close to there, and I was like, I've never seen so many obvious fucking furries in my life, just overwhelming a McDonald's. They weren't in their gear, but they had like their little lanyards on.
Yeah,
and
you're like,
I know what the hell you've been
and you're
up
the
to.
look. You've got that look.
But there was like reports on it from like the BBC, and there was just so much pearl clutching. Like, I feel like that's become a more common thing. If anyone likes anything that's outside of what's deemed the norm, it's like, you need to check their hard drives, their pedos, and it's like, we are way too safe calling people paedophiles for being like a wee bit different.
Yeah,
it's like I like furries. I'm not one, but I can't feel anger at someone who gets a hard on looking like a cereal box. Like. Like, oh, the sugar on your Frosties is very thick. Oh, wait a minute.
I mean, people have weird things. People like weird things, and that's okay. It was an over 18 event, so you kind of can't.
Mon the furries.
Exactly. Let them live their lives. Like,
let them yiff away.
Yiff.
That's what they call it, I think, when they jack off with the mittens, gloves, the things. Pause.
Sorry, yeah. Pause. I was just so disturbed by what you were saying, I couldn't actually think of the word. It's a funny thing. So what was I don't know. I'm running it. No, I'm not running out of things. So
plenty of time.
Yeah, actually, yeah. We've not even done an hour yet. So
I'm not wanting to stop. Let's go.
No.
Scratching it, not picking it.
Starting fires.
I just don't want people to think I'm picking my nose on camera. A guy licked his phone in front of me on the bus one time. Like, I assume it was to clean it, but he just went right on the screen. And I was just like,
Jesus.
And then I think he saw me from his peripheral vision, because he went like that and
went. My nephew tries to lick my brother's phone, and whenever he does it, he's tiny, like he's like 3 years old. And whenever he does it, I go, Daddy takes that to the toilet, don't do that.
Oh, God. My dad found a phone on the street, and again, we're from Castlemilk, very scummy family, so it was half broken, the button to go down didn't work, like, and it was one of those crap ones, well, like keypads. So you thought, I might be able to sell that. You could not. But I put it on. I remember the first video was a guy dressed like a kind of, I don't know how, like a chevalier or something, just lying down as this like big fucking page 3 model, big boobs, blonde hair, just shat in his mouth. You probably could sell, this has probably gone up in value to some people.
This is an origin story.
Why was he in a chevalier outfit?
Because people like weird things.
When I was a teenager, me and my friend used to look up Scottish porn. That was quite funny.
Oh, that's hilarious, though.
And there was like a
Pure
woman...
Pure to me, Daddy. Like, I want you to pump me rotten. Like, it's the least attractive thing in the world.
There was a pure neddy guy just giving it to this woman who was on her back, and she had like her legs around his back, and she had these big, massive white stilettos on. Was it? And she went, "Are you having fun?" He was like, "You tell me, you're the man getting pumped." I was like, "That's so
aggressive." It's just
like Scottish sexy talk. It doesn't work. And like, I kind of get it, because when I was in Taiwan, a lot of guys said, yeah, don't like speak Chinese. It's not a sexy language to do this kind of thing in. And I know how to, like, once you know how to say something is something in a language, it's so fucking easy to just say something filthy. Like, so I'm at uni, and one of my electives is Chinese language, and the lecturer's like, okay, for your homework, I want you to figure out, you know, things that you would say to your crush to let them know that you like them. Now, that's fine for a wee bunch of 18-year-olds who come in saying like, oh, we see when you the yanjing, which means, oh, I like your eyes. But the phrase I want, Chinese lesson, is 帅哥你好, hello handsome man, 你想要椅子吗? Would you like a seat? 你可以用我的脸, you may use my face. So
I predicted that before it came out there, I was pleased.
I learned another one as well. It was like, I finished up with a guy in my flat who was from Taiwan, and I said, 你的孩子们在我的口游泳, which means your kids are swimming in my mouth. Which is very dirty.
Yeah.
But, you know,
rancid.
Probably not going to be, like, tested on any of this, apart from gonorrhea.
I was going to say, so you have been tested.
Yeah.
That's true. If you speak, what type of Chinese?
Mandarin.
If you speak Mandarin, tell us if Alan's pronunciation is shit. Because it's all about the inflection, isn't it, in
Tones,
Chinese
yeah.
languages, and it's like because it's the difference between like and can be drastic.
It was like 4.5 tones, and like I often get told that mine are shit. But then, like, I don't know. People, especially from China, they're very like strict. It's like, no, you're shit. You can be perfect and get one little thing wrong. It's like, you're shit. Fuck you. Go away.
But then I always say, like, very, very happy whenever anyone non-Chinese tries to speak like Mandarin or Cantonese or something.
Like when I was up on Sucky Hall Street, and I was introducing two of my Chinese friends to one of my Scottish friends, and then a Chinese woman kind of saw me trying to speak it, and it made her really happy, and she's like, oh, very good, very good. It does, like, you know, it's the bare minimum, but it's still nice to get that wee kind of...
To be fair, it's that same thing where anybody who's not Scottish tries to say okay the new or something like that, you go, well done.
Oh,
like,
God. I taught some people in Taiwan how to say up the ra, just for a laugh. And then my wee friend Cass, I taught him how to say I'd rather shite in my horns and clap. Hopefully he's used it. I'd love to. I need to learn how to say that in Mandarin. Actually, that's an amazing sentence. I love whoever came up with that sentence.
Yeah, that's very good.
It is phenomenal.
I'd rather shite my hands and clap.
Oh,
there's so much to
Katrina.
So many levels.
Honestly.
Bogging. I said it would be filthy.
Yeah. Oh.
So back to comedy.
Yeah.
As we've rambled about something else. I picked this mug specifically for you, saying don't be a prick. I just feel like it's your vibe.
Freezing.
Yeah, it will be.
Sorry.
Neck. I can make you a new tea if you would like a new tea.
Fine.
Yeah. So comedy. So what's your favourite like Glasgow venue kind of thing, or Scottish venue to perform in?
God, this is such a cliche, but it would be the Stand in Glasgow, just because all of the Red Raws I was going to for like 3 years before I actually got to do it.
You like hyped yourself up.
Yeah, I used to sit in that audience at Red Raw all the time, and I would just be like, just imagine the terror of going up there as someone who had never done it, and like there was always going, you know, oh, I feel like I could maybe do that, and then I was like, oh, what if you die in your arse and there's like 150 odd people here, and how humiliating that must be. And then like to actually have gotten up there in like April 2023 and like I've just completely smashed that 5 minutes, and then like to move up to 10s and then got on weekends rather quickly, it feels really amazing, and like I always love doing that venue. They've got 3. I've never been to the one in Newcastle, but my first weekend they gave me in Edinburgh. I'd never been to Edinburgh, so I thought they would have given me a Glasgow weekend at first, but it went okay. The Friday night was it was very touristy, so it was a bit kind of, there was some stuff they might not have gotten. Yeah. One joke completely died in its arse, which they put in my feedback, like, thank you again for reminding me.
It's like, I know.
It was a bit weird. So then the next day I was like, okay, let's look at this set, let's see how we can change it. The audience were fucking wild on the Saturday, but I tried to go in strong, and it went so much better. Like the feedback acknowledged it, although it was still like, it was too Glasgow based, and I was like, how is it Glasgow? Like I talk about my parents being drug addicts, but like Train Spotting was set in Edinburgh, so it's not that Glasgow based.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair. I mean, whatever. They gave me another gig there. on anti-Valentine's Day, so 13th of February, which was just like a week odds ago. And that went really, really well. I was really happy to smash a gig at the Stand in Edinburgh. Yes.
That is awesome. Like, you do seem to have progressed really quickly, because I remember from seeing you the first time. I remember from seeing you the first time, and you were just suddenly like everywhere. Like everything I looked at, you were just like on another thing and another thing and another thing. And like, whenever I see that you're going to be on something, I'm like, it's going to be a good show. You know, it's going to be a good show. Because you're like genuine. Like, I don't just bum everybody up who comes on here. I know you love a bumming, but like, I don't just bum everybody up in here.
Bumming, what a term! I need to bring that back.
I know, bring back bumming. But I genuinely think that you're just like so witty, so clever. The way you like, everything is full of surprise, and you just find a wee nice way of packaging it all together where it just shocks and delights all at once. And I think you're doing so well in that. And what is anything like kind of, obviously the Stand, getting the actual weekend shows at the Stand is pretty awesome. Is there any like major developments came your way, major offers, opportunities? What's your biggest gig so far, I guess?
Not really anything. Like I've applied for like the BBC New Comedy Awards, things like that. I've done some gong shows. I've never really won anything apart from that semi-final that we did. No, it wasn't the semi-final we did. It was the heat, and then it was a semi-final. I got booted out. I don't know why. I think maybe my humour might be a bit too dark, but either way, you have to have the attitude of like, you know, people like what they like. Yeah. And like, there's been a lot. I'm such a bitch. But there was one time I was at this thing where like thousands of people had tried to get onto it. And then I saw some of the acts, and the two of them I was like, okay, these people are really fucking great. I can see why they progressed. But then the other ones, and the one that won, I was like, really? And it's like, I feel like a lot of the people who decide about these comedy competitions, again, sometimes it doesn't feel like they're looking for the funniest thing. It feels like they're kind of, oh God, I don't want to sound like one of these people, but it feels like they want it to be diverse. And I don't mean that as in like, you know, woke pish. I mean it as in they want different kinds of comedy. Yeah. They want like, a musical comedian. Your musical act, drag act, your traditional stand-up props. But I was just kind of like, really? It felt very kind of, it feels like they're out of touch. That's the term I'm looking for, that sometimes they're a bit out of touch. There's like things on the scene that I see, and I would never have said this a year ago because I didn't have enough experience and stuff, and I'd be like, who are you? But now I've seen literally hundreds upon hundreds of people perform stand-up now, and there are some people who make progress and you're like, they are not funny. They are not funny at all. Like, they are shit. Everybody is just laughing because they are so awkward. Oh, that is awkward. Why is that? Why is it? And then they get opportunities for things, and they get other, and you're like, is it the wokerati? Like, I genuinely don't understand. Sometimes when some people are like making progress, and you're like, you know, I think that person is an absolute zero. Like, I think that person should have performed stand-up once and went, this isn't for me. And yet still, they go on, and then you kind of have to ask yourself, like, is it just taste? Is it just some people like some things more than others? I think so. I mean, I've definitely... How can I think something is so bad that it just shouldn't be on stage, and other people are like, yes, queen, like... Yeah, oh my God, I can think of an example. Yeah, there was. You okay, Sammy? Oh, we've got dog in. How is he eating that whole thing? How are you eating that whole thing? I thought he was enthusiastic. You're so enthusiastic. Good dog. Right. Right, I'm going to let him out, but I won't let him... Taking a 5-minute break. Yeah, well, in the game. No, it's fine, you can bitch and we can... Right. Hi, Sammy. I'm allergic to dogs, I'm not a dick. Let's see. He hates dogs. He just hates dogs. He's adorable, though. He is so good. Lie down. He's just not behaving today. His wee teeth are sore. Aww. And it makes him behave like a maniac. So what were we talking about? What were we talking about before we were rudely interrupted by this dog? Biggest gig, I think. Oh, opportunities and stuff. I was on the BBC New Comedy Awards shortlist, but my material, looking back at it, was just far too manky. I did really well at the heat. I was the first on as well, because like we do it alphabetically, but totally killed it. But never got to the top 30 because, again, the material was just too out there for the BBC, I think. Yes. Didn't get the shortlist again, but I don't think they shortlist people a lot twice in a row unless they think they're going to put them in the final, so I was like, fine. So there was the LGBTQ Newcomer of the Year award, the semi-finals of that was really good. Other than that, it's just been like doing really good gigs here in Scotland that have been good. Like doing Darren Connell's Funny Bunch was a real highlight. When Des McLean started getting in touch for more gigs was really great. Charlie's gig in Dundee, Comedy Dundee, that is an amazing gig. Yeah, like I remember the first time I did it went really well, but then the second time I did it, it was just multiple applause breaks, absolutely killed it. I was very happy. Yeah. I think in front of the biggest audience was probably the Stockton Gong. Yeah. I went in with Kyle and Silas. Although there were 5 people beat the Gong. 4 of us were Scotland based, so me, Kyle, Silas and Zubair. So we all beat the Gong, and then it was a professional comic from Australia beat it, who'd been going for like 10 years and been on Netflix. So we were kind of like, to be kind of close to that level was kind of like, go us. Kyle was a bit disappointed because he lost. They do a decibel counter and he lost by 0.1 decibel. Oh. And I was like, oh, you poor boy. But still, very fucking impressive to do that.
Yeah, no, that's painful.
There was like 300 odd people in that theatre.
That's awesome.
It was, that was an incredible gig. And like with gong shows as well, there's the adrenaline. Yeah. And I remember I saw a woman had a card. I thought it was up and I kind of momentarily just shat myself for like a millisecond. And I was like, oh, keep going. And then when it ended, I did the gayest little jump when I heard like, because they were playing I'm a Survivor. And I was like, yes! Yeah.
Yeah, gongs seem really scary. I was going to say I've not done one. I did one. I did Mackie's gong at Christmas, but literally 2 people got gonged off on that, and it was like 30 of us. So it was not a harsh. It was a very gentle audience, even though they weren't like, they would sit there for 5 minutes, not laugh once, and not gong them off. And you're like, oh,
too generous, man. You need to have a host who's a bit brutal with that kind of stuff. And Graham Mackey's very lovely, so I don't know if it was like that. But Freddie Quinn hosted the Stockton Gong, and he was quite brutal. Also, the first one I did was one of Ian Pringle's, and not enough people were getting gonged off, so he changed it from 3 cards to 2 out of 3 cards. And he gave one to his dad, and his dad I don't think was into much of the gay stuff, and then I implied that I'd seen him on Grindr, and then within like 20 seconds I heard the music and I was like, fuck. So I was last on as well, which is a really tough place for a gong show.
Yeah, because everyone's like, I'm tired and I want to go home. Yeah.
So I was like, oh fuck. I was really gutted after that because I thought I'd do really well. But then I did another one of his gong shows, made it to the top 4. Then someone else won, who's also very funny, but I was also like, fuck, so close. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I always say to myself, like, don't let this influence how you feel. It's not like indicating how good you are, but at the same time, it's kind of like, there's that part of my brain that's like, you're shit if you don't win. Stop it.
It can be a night though, like you can just be bad one night, or you could just not have the right audience, and because your stuff is really dark, like it's like you have to be. I feel like I walk through life, and the majority of people don't have that same depth of like the voice in the back of your head that's like, do you know what, you're shite, like, just kill yourself. So you get like you get pretty used to that, so it becomes quite funny. I mean, I've been making self-harm jokes since I was like 12 years old, so I always feel like the majority of the world you have to tone down for that, and your stuff isn't toned down. Your stuff is just like, yeah, my fucking parents were junkies, and that's my reality. You don't get to make me feel bad about it. Like
my comedy is, one thing I really hate is being described as edgy, because I know my comedy is very dark, but like dark. I have had like some people say it and I was like, oh, please don't call me edgy, because I feel like there's a very specific type of comedy. Like I always try to make comedy that doesn't punch down at anybody. Like even though I talk about my parents being addicts, it's kind of more laughing at that, my experience of that, rather than
edginess is cringe. People. What you do isn't cringe, you know, like it's genuinely it's dark. It's the same as like Jimmy Carr. It's like the way he does it, it's not like the stuff he makes jokes about are really, really dark. He toes the line and makes you think that he's going to say something bad and then doesn't, and that makes the joke on you. So like it's that there requires a certain level of cleverness. People who are edgy are folk who come up and go, oh, I'm, nobody can say anything in comedy anymore, so I'm going to say...
Did they just say a bunch of shite that was tired like fucking 20 odd years ago?
It's like, see, I used to love Dave Chappelle, right? I used to think he was so funny. And then, like, it's not even about him being, like, a transphobe or any of these things, because obviously he's got that... It's that I watched his show where he talks about the fact that he's got this trans friend and stuff like that. And it was the most boring TED Talk I've ever watched in my fucking life. There was like 3 jokes in it and the whole thing. And it's just like, people get so caught up in trying to prove they're allowed to say whatever they want, they forget that actually none of us are allowed to say whatever we want. We actually have to edit and work very hard to make our stuff funny. Like, if I just went up and said whatever I wanted, you wouldn't laugh.
Yeah. There's a stream of nonsensical consciousness.
Yeah.
But
you got to make it look like you're doing that. Like Billy Kirkwood does that. Like makes it look like he's just rambling, but he's not. He knows what he's saying. He's wrote it.
Yeah. Because I remember the first time I saw Billy actually, and I remember I was like, it really does seem like he's just coming up with all this on the spot. But then you see it is, and again, that is a talent to kind of manage to capture. Like that is comedy, like making it seem like you're saying something for the very first time ever. Yeah. But you've said it like 100 odd times. Because I used to always wonder, like, when going to concerts, I was like, they must get bored doing the same songs over and over again. And honestly, no, I don't get bored of doing the same jokes over again, unless like maybe they don't hit as well, and I can replace it with something better. But no, I think it's fine.
Once it slaps, it kind of slaps, doesn't it? It's like,
it never stops slapping.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Once you go deep, you're like, you're talking about the things that matter, the important stuff, like cum.
And full gonorrhea.
Yeah, I've not done a gong. I wanted to go do Beat the Frog, but I kind of want to. That's why I've created this Scottish Comedians Rideshare group, so I can arrange things like that and not feel like I have to drive all the way down there by myself. Because I don't know, everyone else seems to have it's not like cliques, because it's not like anybody's kept out kind of thing, but it's like everybody has their wee groups of people, and I'm not good in groups. my wee neurodivergent brain doesn't like groups of people, so I invite people over to my house to become my friend on my podcast, and then I'm like, you're part of my collective now. I mean, I have been trying to freaking, what's the word, groom you into being my pal for like months now.
I thought we were.
We are. I hope we are.
Right.
Yeah.
And you, even if you make me sneeze.
Yeah. I mean, he makes me sneeze too.
He's sleepy.
He's so sleepy.
Oh, he's beautiful.
He's so handsome. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
When I was in Prague, I went to this little gay bar, and there was like the cutest little dog, and he kept coming up and he kept going like that, and he was up to like my knee, and then like I turned around at one point and he just had an erection bigger than his head. I was like, at first I was like, what the fuck is that? Oh my God!
They're horrifying.
What the fuck, man? Like, imagine humans had that dick to body ratio. Like, well, I'd be in heaven. But like...
So yeah, if it went up to here on your gut, like, you'd be like, whoa!
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, comedy.
They're just like wee nasty slugs. They're horrible to look at.
What's the best gig you've done? Because obviously, in the future, it will be, Why Am I Like This on the 27th of March at the Dram, which you'll buy tickets to. But, like, so far, what has it been? I really love every gig I do in Blackfriars. Oh, Blackfriars is an incredible venue. I can't believe I've not mentioned it yet, yeah.
It's my favourite place to do gigs, whether it's with Darren or with Roddy or with Billy or... even just like we did like one of Viv's like post her advanced comedy course thing, we did one in there and stuff. It's just so great. It's got that iconic background, like it's, you got walk on and walk off music, which is mind blowing for half the gigs you do, and it's just nice to just treat you well, and like it's just always a good crowd regardless. Like I've never had a bad crowd in there. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, this is pure awkward. How was your because it was Blackfriars, your the Blood, Sweat and Fears show was in Halloween. I was there. I saw it. You were a penguin.
I was a penguin.
You would have.
I was wearing the suit that I bought for my mum's funeral.
I love to do that. People are like, oh my God, that's a nice dress. And I'll be like, thanks, I got it from Mum's funeral. And they're like, They're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, for what? For complimenting my fabulous outfit? I was going to look good for my mum. Like, she literally, those boots over there, and I have a big long black coat. She got me them the Christmas before she died. And she said, because I need to know you're going to have at least one nice thing to wear to my funeral. I was like, oh,
Oh my God.
she read you down. She's like, she was a savage. I think that's why I can do comedy now, because I think like people will be like, oh, it's that's so hard. If it doesn't go down well, then it's so embarrassing. I'm like, it's not embarrassing. I feel bad that I failed to do something, but I'm no more embarrassed doing it to one person than to 200 people.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing that my mother couldn't have said worse about. Because anytime I feel bad, I just picture her being like,
It was fine.
It was interesting is the word she interesting. You're like, yeah, whatever, Mum. And that's the whole point of my show, actually, is why am I like this? So I'm just going to pin it on her. That's the summary of the show.
Which is the 27th of March.
It's 27th of March at Dram, yes.
Tickets available now here, yes.
Because I originally asked you to be, did I not ask you to come and be on it, support me? I can't remember.
Did you?
I think so.
Oh, I think Darren Connell's gig is that night.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, you already had that. Poor choice on my part. Just fucking fighting against the...
I remember flying for
Jeffrey
a gig
Epstein.
at the Glasgow Comedy Festival last year, and then people are like, oh no, we're off to see Susie McCabe just over across the road. I'm like, okay, fuck me then.
I'm done then, I guess. Well, choice. So you've got 2 shows at the festival. Is it just 2?
Yes.
Because you've got Gay and Lame.
Yes, and Hot to Go, and I'm supporting Dean on his sold out show.
Oh, fucking yeah.
I can plug that at the end, but I'm very excited about them. Me and so the shows I've done so far with the other guys from Blood, Sweat and Fears podcast. So Dean Byrne, who you've had on here, and Kyle Samuel,
who I also love,
and a lovely boy.
A lovely boy.
Ethnically ambiguous Kyle.
He does have a bit of something in there.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Very Asian.
I was going to say, as opposed to the kilt himself. Like.
You think I look very Scottish?
I think, yes, I mean, Dean denies it, but you're
a fat
ginger.
specky prick with a ginger beard, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, you're not
Give it
fat.
20 years, you'll be a gammon.
Oh, God, British to a die.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited for them. So I've done shows with those guys. I did it at the Fringe, did it at the Glasgow Comedy Festival last year. So since Dean's doing his big like solo hour show, I'm supporting him on the first one. I think Kyle's doing the second one, and then me and Kyle are doing our own one. I think it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, very late at like 10:30. So we're like the last show, and we're doing it in Tenants.
Oh, like the last show of the festival?
No, like the last show on the day.
Oh wait, so what
venue.
what date is it? Sorry, 29th.
So ours is on the 15th.
Oh, the 50th.
Of March at 10:30 in Tenants. The other one I'm doing with Matt is on the 13th at 7 p.m. in Dram. We're also doing, and we had to kind of get in quick and find a very specific venue because Matt uses like a power wheelchair.
Yeah, because he couldn't do Tenants that time. He's on the
Zoom gig twice,
one, yeah.
and it went exceptionally well the first time.
Yeah.
Like he absolutely killed it, but he didn't know he was killing it because he couldn't hear himself.
That's
that
a shame
well.
because he was so funny. I was there, yeah, he really
he's brilliant.
Smashed. Yeah.
But like again, so many of the venues in the country are just not wheelchair accessible because we love like basements or attics.
Yeah.
So
it frustrates me actually because when I was making up the open spot lists, and that was important to me that I got all that information available to people because I know there are people who can't do a lot of gigs because of that. I was just like, okay, well, I need to make sure all of this information is there. There's something like 6 on that whole list. It's dire. Like I've literally heard of comics who are just deciding to give up, even though they're doing great, because they just can't get gigs because they're just not accessible to them. And it's like, why? Like, literally, it's like Michael's doing in Buff Club now. That's a great venue for that because it's now you can get in on the ground floor there and stuff. So it's like every venue should just be like aiming for that. I guess it's Glasgow and Edinburgh are both old cities. Yeah. So you get that, but.
Yeah, it does really, really suck.
Maybe one of my missions this year is to find all of the venues that are accessible and make them into comedy venues and try and like make a list and say, try booking these instead.
Yeah. So I'm so gutted when like some gigs stop, like they stop running gigs in places that are accessible. Like, because Salsa was amazing for it. That's where Matt did his first few gigs. And also Benarotti was quite good as well. Because like, it was complicated to get into it, but it was at least accessible. But yeah, so I'm excited for that because we've sold, I think, about... God, he told me today, I think there's about 30 tickets I've sold for that.
That's great.
So I'm feeling really good.
Over halfway there then. That's great.
So also his parents are coming. And like his mum is like 70, Filipino, very like religious. So, but again, she's got a very dirty sense of humor.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just like, how is she going to take this? But I'm excited for people to see him. Also, I was hanging out with a bunch of the Taiwanese community in Glasgow, and it was the 2-for-1 day. And I'm like, well, I have a show on the 13th.
Just so you know, if you're thinking. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Since there's two, I don't know. Like, I was thinking for the one with Matt being a bit more kind of like structured, what I usually kind of do, write out everything, see how it goes. Then with the one with Kyle, I think we spoke about it. He's going to go on second. So Matt wants to go on first, and then I go on. He's like, oh, I don't want to follow you. You're too experienced. And I was like, oh, shut up, but also go on.
Me.
But like Kyle, I know Kyle's absolutely going to smash it. So like, I think I'd probably be a bit more comfortable just like trying out something new. Not like dying my ass, like not completely new, but like, give something new
being
a try.
A bit looser with it.
Especially it's like Friday at like 10:30 at night. Like people are going to be drunk, they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it'll be good, whatever.
So yeah, and then supporting Dean on his Fated to Pretend show.
Yes.
I remember he showed us the poster for that before he put it up. And I was like, oh, you've not really got any space to add, like, you know, BBC finalist and things like that. I was like, oh, Dean, I did a wee bit of poster design myself, Kat. I said, oh, I've edited it. And I just took away the Eat to Pretend, so it just said fat on it. And I was like, you've got plenty of space now.
That is so good. The poster design was actually, like, for mine was quite, like, it's very... I've got one on the wall, which is why I'm like looking at it.
I think it's very whimsical.
It's whimsical.
But that was the first photo I ever saw of you, and I thought you were much older than you were.
That's quite funny because that photo is actually from like 2021, I think. So it's like 4 years old now or something.
Oops.
That's all right. Sorry. I also, since I've like lost weight, because when I started comedy I was a lot bigger, and then I got my blooming medication for my ADHD, which means that I'm never hungry. So since losing weight, I get ID'd all the time. I've been ID'd like 3 times in the past month. I'm I'm 29. I'm like, bitch, I'm nearly 30. Why are you IDing me? Like thanks. Just a bit of Glinda, you know. But yeah, like I think I've made mine like super busy, which is maybe not the best bit of graphic design I've ever done, but I just started drawing and I had fun with it. So like I've added that in as it's like fans of roast comedy, a smidge of Monty Python and 90s cringe is the way that I've done it. Because the reason I put roast comedy is because quite a lot of it is just me roasting people I used to date. And then and myself, and also because it is that kind of like harder edge comedy, like you don't want someone coming to it looking at that and being like, oh, it's a rainbow. It's like, well, it's actually a rainbow, but if you look at it, there's things like orcas and flowers, but there's also a gravestone and a bunch of weed and like I just drew some things from my life and I was like, did you think you were buzzing there?
Yeah, I thought it was my phone.
I don't know what that actually was.
Oh, I left the plug on.
You're sitting. That would be bad.
There must be people who go up on stage with like a butt plug in or something. I never have, 100%, surprisingly.
Yeah. Perverts. No, I mean, I can understand it though, because it's like such an adrenaline rush. Like sometimes you do just come off stage horny, don't you? You're like, I fucking smashed that. Now I'm gonna go smash a cunt in. Like, no. I suppose you did go up and talk about your mum.
I don't think I've ever left the stage horny.
I mean, it's not like explicitly horny, but I guess it's just like full of life, joie de vivre.
Yeah, I suppose so. Full of life, let's share it and create it.
Yes.
Or at least try. To fail you every time. Wrong hole.
It's a successful contraception. The best contraception you can get being gay.
Oh, was it when I told you I had gonorrhea and you're like, we're going to talk about contraception? Like, it's in my throat, so I was like, anyone who says to a guy, wear a condom for a blowjob, like, deserves worse than gonorrhea. Like, fuck off. No.
Yeah, it does really kill it, doesn't it? Why would you want to do that?
God,
The flavour is just bad. Even flavoured ones, like, that is a con of the sex industry, is that flavoured lube and flavoured condoms are anything but silicone-y, disgusting mess.
Yeah.
Like, it's just bleh.
Yeah, God. I remember a guy fucked me with a flavoured condom one time and I only figured it out because I sucked him off later and it tasted like blueberries.
Oh.
He inspired one of my first jokes, actually, which was, your first time I ever found a grey pube, it was in my teeth, ha ha ha. Then I saw Frankie Boyle in February, had the exact same joke, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I was like, I bet that's not true for you, though, Frankie. It was true for me.
It was authentic.
Oh, God. I was talking outside the stand with Paddy and the Rev recently, and they were amused because we were, I don't know, it was coming on hair was a discussion point, I can't remember why.
Oh, I just had a flashback to something there. Go on and I'll tell you about it.
Well, I just remember I got on a bus once from Cardonald to Castlemilk and like I looked in the mirror and I just had a big white crispy bit on my eyebrow. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, can't I blame the psoriasis on that? It's too thick.
It's just like it grew overnight. I don't understand. Like, right, so I just had a flashback of me going to uni one morning and my mate being like, "Oh, Katie, I think you've got some of your porridge in your and we just be like, oh,
not the porridge. But you bring that up to someone though.
Oh, I know.
One of the most.
He legit thought it was porridge though. Like, innocent soul.
Oh, porridge. Wait a minute.
Just eating my hair.
One of the most embarrassing things that happened to me was like, far away, Sammy. Don't be oppressed.
Thank you. That's
true. But a few years ago, I was at the doctor's. Don't remember what it was, but I'd blown my nose before going in, and she kind of looked at my chest, like, and then stopped, and then looked up, and I just looked, and there was a big groggy snotter on my t-shirt, and I was like, "Oh my fucking God!" And I just like grabbed one of her tissues, wiped it away, and like put it down. Oh, it was manky. Oh.
I literally did that like a week ago. I was just in the house, but I had a pure massive sneeze, and then went into the kitchen, and then just suddenly like looked down at myself and went, "What's that?" I went, like, I need to change.
Oh God! When I was a teenager, I dated a guy and I sucked his nose, and then when like I stopped, it was a laugh. I'm not like into noses, but when I pulled out, a bit of like spit fell out and just landed in his eye. he deserved it.
That's something I haven't put into my set actually. Is there was a guy that I was such an awkward and nervous teenager, and like I was very late in my hormones turning on, I guess, because I remember like one day like having zero interest in sex, and then one day when I was 16 my brain just went, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's actually not a bad thing, that. So I went from 0 to 100, and but I was so awkward and nervous, and there was a boy that I liked, and I'd liked him for a really long time, and he tried to kiss me. And this was, I mean, I'd actually like lost my virginity and been with somebody by this point, like, and it was after that he tried to kiss me, but I was so in my head if he doesn't like me back that I was like, what are you doing? And he went, oh, I'm gonna kiss you. And I went, oh, cool. And went, mwah, and kissed his nose, and oh no, I didn't even kiss it, I licked it, I went, and ran away. And I'm like, why am I like this? 27th of Drab at 8:30. 27th
My
of
God.
Yeah.
Did you get together eventually?
We used to like go drives and make out and shit. We had fun.
Happy ending. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a shame. I'd love if that was like your current partner.
No, that took a hell of a lot of effort, a lot of time. He's also 5 years older than me, so that would have been really weird at the time.
Oh, daddy.
Like, you saw him, you saw the picture of him. He is like,
oh, good on you.
Pretty. I picked him when so he lost like somewhere like 100 kilograms. Like he lost like, maybe it was 60 or 70.
What's that in pounds?
Like 140 pounds-ish. And yeah, so like an entire person off of his body. But we were best mates for like 5 years before we got together. And so he'd started to lose a lot of that weight, but he was still quite a bit bigger when we got together, but he just continued to slim down. And now I will be lying next to him and I'll just be like, where hath thou tummy gone? Come on, I need some jiggle back. Give me it back. And it's like, as you get older, you get less interested in someone being like top, like fucking, you're just like, no, give me a smooshy cuddle who knows how to make a good steak. And we have a dog together. It's very heteronormative. Like,
I think it's cute.
It is. It's good, but I like my life in that. Like,
I lost so when I lost a bit of weight and then I found out I was diabetic and I lost a lot of weight very quickly. And it's weird because you're still getting in that mindset of being overweight. Like I would hold my belly in to squish past something when there was plenty of room for me just to walk through it.
Yeah.
Or there was t-shirts I would never wear because they were always extremely tight. And then when I was like, oh, I should try them on now, and they were so loose, and I was like, well, I now need to get rid of them now, or give them to a charity
you've
shop.
missed it. The window.
One was a really nice shirt my aunt got me as well, which again, too big and then too small, then far too big, and so I wore it once, and that was it.
It's very dramatic, that changing. This is I love that this podcast is literally just us chatting about life, but I've seen a friend who's the same as that. He got diagnosed when he was 19 or something, 20, and he went from being this really big guy to just could literally, because his ribs had all expanded. When he sucked, I was lying with my head on his tummy once, and he sucked his tummy in, and I got stuck under his ribs. I was like, whoa, what is happening here? But it's so radical, that shift. It requires such a lot of suddenly realising you have these conditions.
Yeah.
Or to be young and disabled. You're lame as well. I mean, in your own way.
Well, are you talking about getting pumped, or are you talking about the arthritis? I mean, both can leave you walking funny.
Yeah.
But I was I remember just one day I woke up with a sore foot, and then I was like, I wonder what that is. I probably just banged it off something in my sleep, even though that was impossible. Then I went to the shop, came back, and the pain gotten so bad, and my foot looked like a big potato with 5 wee sausages sticking out. It was weird as fuck. And again,
just overnight?
Yeah. Well, just from that wee walk, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I was I didn't really know what to do for that kind of thing. And then I ended up in hospital, and they were sticking needles in my ankle and stuff to take out the fluid to find out if it was gout. And then no, it's arthritis. Very uncaring. I was in the new Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, and I had my own room. It was fucking fantastic. And then we're going to maybe to a specialist, well, I think got NAVO, and then I get there and I'm just in with 3 men inches from their death. Couldn't see the guy to my left, but diagonally across from me is an old man who just keeps pressing the nurse's buzzer, putting this red light on. They were like, what is it now, Tam? And just, he didn't look alive. And then the guy across from me got into an argument with a nurse because she was trying to explain you couldn't put your trousers on over your head. It was quite sad, but you had to see the funny side.
So you're also why am I here?
Yeah.
Why have I been put with this selection of human beings?
Yes. And then I woke up at 2 a.m, pitch black, apart from the red light that guy had pressed. Well, the other guy is walking towards me, still no trousers on, balls to his ankles. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That was horrendous. And they were so uncaring. They didn't give me crutches or anything, and I had to hobble across to the shower room. Gave me nothing to hold on to, so I fell in the fucking shower.
Oh my God.
And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I fell in the shower. It's like, yes, but are you okay? Wankers. And then
no, I'm not okay. Take me to my bed.
And it's usually people are wankers when they say it, but as a man, I felt quite discriminated against in a way, because I was like, can I have crutches? I can't put any weight on my foot, or I'm in agony. Oh, but you're a big strong man. I was like, I'm in a lot of pain. They gave me one crutch, so I had to hold on to something and kind of hop along. I've been kind of lucky in the fact that it's a bit of pain. 99% of the year I'll be absolutely fine, and then for some reason, just during the Fringe, it happened, and then this month I was hobbling about Prague with a stick because I was just in so much pain. So it kind of sucked. He's snoring.
He's snoring, but he also just did the most disgusting fart.
I'm sure he did, Kat.
It's the leather works. It's not me. I only fart once a day, which is a fact, and nobody believes me when I say it. Oh
man, when I was 16 I dated a guy, and then when he left the flat very briefly, I farted so hard it shook the bed, and I've never been able to do that again. I was so gutted. I did one time that sounded like I got the wrong answer on Family Fortunes. It was like...
I love stupid fart sounds. Like when they're a question, it's brilliant. Best.
Oh god, I was
or where they just don't make any noise, but you're like, that something came out and it's kind of like a spray.
Yeah.
It's went,
oh, not a spray.
And you're like, why? What was sprayed?
Oh my god, should I it's up your camera saying something? What were we talking about?
What were we talking about? That's going to be half of this. I'm just going to be editing
farts,
section.
I think. How do we get any farts though?
Farts.
Oh, the dog. Good Sammy.
Fart the dog. Anyway, bugger it. We'll talk about something else. So who's kind of your favourite global comic UK US.
I don't know.
Joe Rogan.
Oprah Winfrey. It's weird. I did watch like some Frankie Boyle and like some shows, but I never really became
actors
a
and
massive
things as well, shows, that stuff.
Yeah, but, I don't know. Like I mostly kind of got into comedy and by like going to local shows. Like I went to like all the Red Raws. I went to a diversity quota gig, which is run in the Glasgow Uni. My friend really loved that one. Yeah. So am I.
Oh yes, so you are.
Yeah, I've been added last minute.
Wow. I also complimented you in that group chat. I was like, excellent choice, Helen J's amazing.
When was that?
Like yesterday night.
Am I in the chat?
No, you haven't been added, I don't think. But Elliot said,
about.
no one panic.
But I don't really know, to be honest. Again, most of my favourite comics that I like to see are local acts. I think, see, since starting comedy, I've noticed it's a lot harder to make me laugh. Because now it shows I'm not like, this is great. I'm kind of like, I'm analysing it a lot and I'm being critical. Not like thinking, subpar, but just like kind of like you're kind of taking notes. You can't help yourself. But
yeah.
I think my favourite comic, especially locally but very big, probably Darren Connell. Yeah. He does this impression of, if you heard it, of a dried up baby mermaid.
No.
And we had this show at the Glasgow Comedy Festival. It was Tenants, and I think a show was cancelled. So Paddy and a bunch of comedians were there. Paddy's like, okay, I'm going to host it. We'll just get a bunch of comedians to come and do sets. And Darren was there, and he did this impression, and it broke me. My face was red. I people exaggerate, but I genuinely had tears streaming down my face. I had the staff come up to me with tissues. I was losing it that fucking badly. It
ruining
was
the show.
It was one of, if not the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen, especially since starting comedy. Like, it was just ridiculous and so funny. So Darren always makes me laugh a lot. Susie is incredible. But yeah, there's just a lot of really incredible comics working in Scotland. Yeah,
like local folk are just amazing. Like Jack is one of my favourite Jack Trainer. He's so, like, makes me bawl.
Yeah, like, naturally very hilarious.
Like, I think it was that night with that Matthew, Matthew on the TV, not that Matthew, and Jack was like, he basically just went, I'm just going to fire a bunch of jokes out that I've never had the guts to say before. And I just was like crying, walked away immediately, voice noted about 5 people being like, I just heard the funniest fucking joke I've ever heard in my life.
Is that a bit Jaws?
Yeah.
He kept saying to us, he was like, I don't know if I could get away with that.
How? It was like, there was nothing wrong with it. Like, it was just...
You have to do it, and he has been. I've been like, yes.
It's so good. But I've been on a lot of shows with Jack recently, so thoroughly enjoy his stuff. I love just like the versatility, I guess, where it's like, you can go from somebody who is just like wild and just spitting out jokes constantly, next one, to like someone like Kyle who just is very like, here's a joke, and it's like his jokes are so clever. And I've messaged him before. I think he had a really hard time at your Halloween gig. This is going to totally block my mic, this wee dog. I think he had quite a hard one because they were just being... like, they just weren't on the same level, and I just was like, you were fucking hilarious, by the way. Fuck anybody, because there was those cunts in the back corner were being rude.
Really?
There was like people like yelling out or something, and I just messaged him afterwards being like, fuck those guys.
Kyle's got the type of comedy where you have to have a good comedy audience, because his jokes rely on a lot of pauses,
clever thinking,
and like if someone like shouts something stupid out and it just totally fucking ruins it. So I always like the second-hand rage I feel if I'm like at a gig with Kyle and he just gets like interrupted by someone. I'm like, you fucking asshole, you've just fucked that joke for like, somebody. Like, I had a joke that always makes people laugh, and then I did it once at the Comedy Cabaret, and then before I went to the punchline, he spoke it out, and then I said, oh yep, that, and then no one laughed, and I was like, you fucking It's like, I wrote this. I wrote this joke. You do not get to just nab it out from under me. I don't know. It's just that thing where it's like, I don't know. I don't like it. Like, even when I was an audience member before I even started, like, I was always like, be respectful, because clearly they're doing something they care about, and it's just that. It's like they're sitting at home watching the telly, and it's like, I guess the punchline, I'm dead smart. Like, you're just a prick. No. Yeah, like, no, you're not smart. We also, as... like, when you're writing, so often you have to think like lowest common denominator, and you have to go like, how can I make this joke
funny to people who can't think.
That's what I did. Is when I started writing, I was like, you have to remember, like, me and a friend were writing. He asked me for his advice on this joke, and he said people weren't getting the punchline, and I was like, well, it starts with a setup, and then it goes in like 4 different directions, and then it gets to the punchline.
And everybody's always trying to predict what the punchline's going to be.
You're just trying to keep up, and it's like you've just went in like 4 completely different directions. So by the time you get there, they've completely forgotten about that bit. Yeah. So we worked through that way, because you have to just remember they have no idea where it's going, so you have to make sure they're kept on that path. Yeah. And if you're going to kind of verge off from it and bring it back, you have to do it very carefully. You
verge off and have to reset yourself up again. And that only really works if you kind of have like spacer jokes throughout that to fill out. Otherwise, you're just going to be rambling for a big long time, and everyone's going to go, what was the point in that?
Yeah, like it took me about 2 years to write a callback I was really happy with. I did no callbacks before that.
Hard. I've not done any callbacks yet.
They're really difficult. And the thing is, I've noticed some people, especially when they're very new, just kind of feel like they have to do them, and so they'll put them in if they don't make sense. And it's like, you really don't need one. Like, they're great, but like they're not completely necessary.
It's Tattoo Dave does some really good callbacks. Like I've watched him do his preview show at Junkyard, and it was like within a 10-minute window he'd done something like 4 callbacks. And you're like, what the hell? Like, but like from much earlier in the show, so it's just a really clever reconnection of everything and pulling it all back together, which is obviously great if you're doing like a big long thing more than 10 minutes, because I don't think, how can you, especially if you're doing like 10-minute spots or 5 spots, how are you supposed to get a callback in that time? They haven't forgotten it.
Yeah. Like
10 minutes you can just about, but
I remember seeing someone do a 5 and they did the same callback twice, and it's like it didn't really work as well. And then I saw someone else who just forgot to do the first stroke, and then they did the callback to it. It's like, you can't know. And then I think you could see them kind of just go like, oh fuck,
I can't remember who it was, but I've literally seen someone do that and just stand up there and just go, I didn't set that up. That's why you didn't laugh at that. Sorry.
It happens, we're only human.
Yeah.
Especially like, I know you've got diagnosed with ADHD. I'm on a waiting list. Like, my mind is constantly going in 1,000 fucking different directions at once. That's why I'm always paranoid about dying on my arse, because I forget something. That's why I go over everything religiously.
Meds really help. They really do.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And if they make you lose weight, great. Because that diabetic medication made me so nauseous for the first few months, which helped me drop the weight.
Yeah. Thankfully it's not like that. It's just you don't have an appetite, so it's not. Yeah.
Skinny Legend, here I come.
Skinny Legends. That's it, you and me. We'll do a show next year, Skinny Legends.
That brings on to an interesting topic. I know you're the interviewer, Kat, but what's been your worst gig?
What's my worst gig? The worst gig I ever did was my second gig ever, and it wasn't my second gig ever, sorry, it must have been like my 5th or something, but I decided to go for 5 to 10 minutes far too quickly. But that wasn't even the problem with it, really. It was that I was still doing that. You remember my stuff from before. I don't know if you've seen my newer stuff, but like it very, like, it's all about the environment. It's quite political, but also quite intellectual in a way, and you're so early, you haven't figured out how to write intellectual things in a way that is accessible for all peoples. Because, so sometimes you tell people that, they'll be like, that joke's so funny though, it should work, and you go, yeah, but it doesn't, because people are having to work really hard to get the punchline. Like, you just need to find a way to simplify it. So I went into this pub that basically they were not ready for comedy. It was a fundraiser event, but I think it was just mostly people from the local pub had just like bought tickets and came along. They were all off their faces, and they were all just like, how do I explain this? They wouldn't mind an orange walk. If that makes sense. Like, it's just like no commentary on Celtic or Rangers. They are literally just... I'll say it, I don't like the orange order. I used to live in Kinnan Park, and I'd be woken up every fucking Saturday morning by them rehearsing. I would just be woken up by...
That was
a hateful organisation, fuck them.
I know, that was another joke. Well, like, I did it for ages because my ex was from Hong Kong and I live in Ibrox. So I was like, we're going to open a takeaway, call it the Orange Walk. And I ended on it my first time at the stand. I'd done it for months and months, and then Kevin Bridges had a special with the exact same joke in it, and it's like... fuck.
Clearly heard you at the stand. Clearly
Yes.
ripped you off.
I've inspired Kevin. But I always get gutted when that happens. And he put it up as a reel like in the past few weeks, and people kept sending it to me, and I was really worried it was going to be another joke that I really loved, but it was just that one again.
That's
I was
fine,
like, thank fuck.
Accept your fate in that. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that that was my worst one, because I basically just like, nobody did particularly well. I think, was it Thomas Craven was hosting it, I think, and he sort of had to largely give up on his own material and just starts doing things like, what's everybody's favourite Chinese round here? And then people started laughing their head off, and he like called the Chinese. That was everybody's favourite Chinese.
Oh,
and
Thomas
they
Elvin,
pick
was
up.
it?
Yeah. What did I say?
Craven.
Oh no, Craven's Welsh, isn't he?
I've seen him do that.
When he
like
calls
phone a
the
takeaway.
Yeah.
I think it was
So he
just after
basically did that, and that was how he sort of like pulled them in. And I was like, well, I mean, they weren't really going to laugh about Al Gore, were they? No. I could sort of accept that. So I came off, and Craig was just like, one of the few shows he's given seen, he was like, are you okay, kind of thing, like, how do you feel? Because I knew I'd bombed, it was terrible. I stopped at like 7 minutes and went, I'll no bother yous anymore. And I just went, well, it's good to know that bombing is as fun as smashing. Like, it's good to know that they are equally exhilarating experiences. So I don't really feel bad about bombing anymore. Like, I just do it, I mean, not that I've bombed particularly, but that's definitely like the worst gig. Other bad gigs are just things like terrible host, makes fun of the acts, doesn't have any of their own jokes, or just has like really old
shite
everybody's heard a million times, and it's just dreadful because it's dreadful. What's your worst one then?
Oh God! So there were. Well,
There's so many.
Well, I would never say any gig is bad, Cat, because we're constantly learning something,
learning,
you know.
Reps.
Just kidding. So I did one. Should I say the place? It rhymes with the Scallion because it's called the Scallion, and there was just there was one gig there. And I remember walking into it, and it was like booths all around. There was like a stag do playing pool, tons of people eating food, and there was this tiny little walkway down to the bar where they put the mic, and that was basically it, and a couple of chairs in front.
You've kind of just described Rum Shack as well there. Not Rum Shack, sorry, Rum Bongo.
Kind of like that. Except Rum Bongo is just like a long kind of corridor down to it, whereas this had like, it really kind of came out like a kind of rectangle shape. And then to the left again, there were some booths, and I saw like 2 8-year-olds running about. I'm like, fuck. But oh my God. And I remember just looking at all the other acts, and we were all just like, this is going to be a shit show. And I was opening. And one of the hosts, there was 2 hosts for some reason, but one of them came up to me and he's like, okay, I'll just do a wee minute of material, then I'll get you up. Went up, did a joke that completely bombed, and then went, right, you ready for your first act? And I was like, you are fucking serious. And I got up there, tried the stuff about my upbringing, wasn't really working, tried the dirty stuff, that went okay, tried a wee bit of crowd work. And then I realised the people that were sitting in the seats in front of me kept looking up. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? Looked up behind me, massive 60-inch TV playing the football right above me. This is while people are eating their food, while the stag do is going on. I'd been on stage for 2.5 minutes, and the only time I've ever done this in over 250 gigs, I just went, bye, to put the mic back and just fucked right off the stage. And I was like, yeah, this is a bit of a shit show. The host, who was originally hosting, never went back on stage, just sat and played with his phone, not talking to anyone. The other guy who was hosting went up, and tried to pull it back a bit, and came up to us and he was like, look, if some of you guys don't want to do this, that's fine. And about 3 of them were like, yeah, we're just going to chill out. The others went up and tried to do it. It was a bit of a shit show until the headliner came on. It was Obey, who just decided to start singing Wonderwall in the fetal position, which was very entertaining. And then they actually got warmed up by the headliner at the end, and then he was like, all right, we'll try and do some comedy. No one listened anymore. They were up for Wonderwall, then they just stopped listening to the comedy. It was a shit show. But I love talking about bad gigs. I love being a bitch. There was another one in Paisley. And the guy... So my ex-boyfriend did a Viv G's comedy course about 10 or 15 years ago. And he'd always told me about this one guy who was so bad. And then I remember I was at a gig in Paisley and I heard, please welcome this person. I was like, oh, and I sent my ex a picture. I was like, I finally get to witness this greatness. It was fucking terrible. And this guy had been going for like 15 odd years.
I don't get that.
Atrocious. And then he hosted a gig in Paisley and I was like, okay, cool. I want to do one of this guy's gigs. I have to, just for the experience, even if it's shite. And this is when I was pivoting from the kind of darker toned comedy and being more kind of light in myself, so it was a good opportunity to do that. He said, go on last, do however long you want. But
it's always a sign of a great show.
Yeah. But oh my god, yeah, he just went on stage and he was trying to be an insult comic, but he was just being a cheeky cunt. And he was like, alright, you ready for a good fucking night of comedy then? And they went, yeah. He went, well, here's your first fucking act. And it was Kyle, who again, you need a good comedy audience, you need some ground rules set, because Kyle's relies on long pauses and you paying attention to him and not being a cunt. And I just felt so bad for him because, oh my god, it was just... And again, Kyle's always great, but it's just like they didn't appreciate the material because they didn't know what the fuck it was. The room, it was up there for literally less than a minute. This was some fucking comedy. And then he insulted the audience. Like, kept calling them dickheads, just went, it's my fucking night, I'll do what I want. And this guy's like quite old. I think he's like approaching 60. And like, it's just so strange. And then like all the comedians, we were just sitting having a laugh at how bad this was, and like the mic stand was right next to an open door, so people were just walking by and it was really cold. And then at the end I had like 15 minutes and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna let go, say whatever the fuck I want. And then like it went really, really well after that, and like even the barmaid who had a face trimmer the whole night started laughing. And I was like, okay, I got something out of this, because like the thing about the gigs like that is they're incredibly low stakes. You just don't
you can have
care.
fun.
You can do what you want. And so I did,
like
but oh my god, I wouldn't do one of his gigs again though. There was a bit of a weird thing actually a year ago at the festival. He was like, oh, do you want to do this gig for the festival? And I was like, yeah, fine. And then it was like, okay, do you want your fee or do you want me to give it to charity? And I was like, okay, I didn't know there was a fee, but it's very weird that you now spring a moral dilemma on us of whether or not we give it to us. And he's like, oh, well, you know, okay, you can have your fee, you know, if we sell enough tickets. And I'm like, oh, so now there's a fee if we sell enough tickets.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like, usually I'll say to people, like when I was doing Comedy Cabaret, it was like, we make a few pounds off this, I don't make anything. If you're like, I want my $5, I'll send you your $5. If you are like, just bung it in for charity, then I'll bung it in for charity, and I'm fine to do that. But like, it's just like, it's what it is.
Yeah,
it's not, you may or may not get this depending on how you go.
So
and like,
weird. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing this gig. You don't know how to run a gig.
Yeah.
And then, he posted another post on the forum. He's like, hey guys, got a wee unpaid slot. And I'm like, you fucking dickhead.
Oh my.
And I called him out on it, but like...
What I've realised is this camera has died.
Oh, fuck.
Right? Here. We'll be in frame. We're all right. If it's actually still recording, can you imagine?
Okay, we're in for episode 1.
Right. Oh my goodness, Elon, calm down.
Oh my god.
I know you're talking about being neurodivergent. Like, I didn't know you were autistic, saluting like that. Like, my god.
Katrina! My god.
That's what I was calling you Elon for. You're like, so good.
But yes, shite gigs.
Yeah.
That one was especially terrible. He has no business running a gig. Also, I found one of his old videos on YouTube, and like I watched them and I'm just like, oh my god, this is atrocious. But like he's doing the same material as 15 years ago, and it's like, what? Why?
It's like 70% of like open spot gigs are bad gigs though.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, guys. You know the ones I like. I mean, I'm not like totally like slating anybody on this, but I'm fairly honest about what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And if your show is doing this, it's bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're quite. It's because they're open spots. Anybody can do them, and it can result in very hit or miss. And then you've got like comparatively like Charlie, who is Air Charlie, who just, it's like, we are going to run this exactly like this, and it's going to be a good show, people. It's going to be a good show. That is a good show. He does a good job of it. He puts all the effort in the right places. I can't judge it because I am that person, but like, it does crack me up something fierce. So like, so we should round up, because like I say, we could just talk for days and days and days and days. And
I'm trying to remember if there was another terrible gig though. I swear I had one.
You had to share another one that the people, they have to know.
Fuck, I know there's been so fucking many.
How many have you done now, roughly, gigs?
Over 250.
Oh,
just
damn. So I know that I'm approaching 100. I don't know whereabouts, but I'm approaching 100. I knew when I was over 70, but that was back in like November, and I've done quite a lot. So I'm approaching 100. What's your ultimate comedy goal then?
Christ, I'd love to have an hour of material.
Yeah.
Like a really good hour show. Although the thinking of having to remember an hour
Terrifying.
is terrifying. Like, especially because I struggle to remember things. But I think if I do it, I'll be fine. I know I can do it.
It's about working it up so it gets bits, 10 minutes gets set in your brain. You'll be able to remember that in 20 years, you know, and you just build up to that.
Like I'll be able to. Like I've done gigs sometimes where like I've went over because like they've let me and I've ended up doing like close to 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, that was really easy. Whereas,
yeah,
like,
it is easy to do, actually.
when you start with 5, 10 seems impossible, and then you do 10 and then, you know,
5 seems impossible.
Yeah.
5s are so hard now because you're like, that's like 3 jokes. Like, it's 3 stories at most. What is your, comedy therapy, what is one thing that you've learned from comedy that you take into the rest of life?
Well, I've learned I can do something well. Like, again, because my upbringing, like, my parents were addicts, I wasn't taken to school, I was always bullied, so I always thought I wouldn't really be good at anything. And then it was like during lockdown, I started off by teaching myself a bit of Chinese, and I was like, oh, I can learn stuff. And that's what led me to eventually getting into uni. And then through comedy as well, by starting that, it kind of taught me that the more you work at something, and if you take it seriously, you can get a lot better at it. Like, I think I started off pretty good, considering like that was when I started, but I think... Yeah, I am so much better than I was when I started 2 years ago. It's good because like if I'm struggling at uni because I've been kind of sick the past couple of weeks, not just the gonorrhea. Then it's like, oh, you know, you might be tripping up now, but you can catch up. You just have to work at it. You'll be fine. Like, I dropped out of so many colleges because I got into that panic mode where I was like, oh, well, fucked it, and just left. Whereas this time I'm like, you will finish.
Do you know, it's very deep, but like it is quite indicative of kind of, if you don't have parents who are on it and present and encouraging, like I always say I'm very privileged in that, and just like my parents were, you can do anything. And I have that on my poster, like a quote from my mum is, if anyone can do it, Katie, you can. And it's because when I was like 7, I told her I was going to be the president one day, even though I was not a US citizen, and she was like, if anyone can do it, it's you, like you can do it. And comparatively, my dad, also a quote on that, says, you're not good, but you're okay. Because they are both perfectionists with like incredible push to tell me to be the best that I can be. So
we all start somewhere.
Yeah, and it's just, it is, but having that thing of being like, if you go out there and you can do it, knowing you can do stuff, it's like the only limit is what you think about yourself. Like being a perfectionist limited me massively. That thing of you're not good enough yet, that was the limit. But telling me that I could be anything is the thing that kept me pushing through that. And yeah, I guess if you grow up without someone saying, yeah, of course you can do that. Like, yeah, you don't need me to tie your shoes. You're 7. You can, like, I'll show you how to do it, and you can learn how to do it. And it starts all there when you're like little.
I didn't learn until I was 18 to tie my shoelaces.
Actually, I think I might have known that about you.
Yeah, it's a joke I make on stage, but like, I remember I was 18, I was in a fucking hotel room in Manchester. I was like just being lazy, and I was like, right, time to fucking learn how to actually do this. It was easy. I was like, oh, right, fine.
Oh yeah, it's hard if nobody tells you how to do it though. It's just
like I know we're still going on, we're meant to be rounding up. Like the parent thing, that was like, I was never taken abroad, so it always seemed like a massive task. And then I was like 30 and I kind of fell in love finding out about Taiwan, and that's when I decided to book my trip there. And I was like hitting up my friends, I was like, what's the deal with like airport security and all that stuff, like how do I make sure I get strip searched?
And it's just been, you've had such a 180 even in the time that I've known you, as like, because like I said, I met you and then you went to Taiwan, and like you were like, no, I'm going to go to uni and I'm going to do all this stuff, and you're really candid about it online. It's really nice to like read it all, because it's like, you like, if you can write comedy as funny as you can, you can go to university, you can go get a job like that you really want to do, you can go learn other languages, see other cultures, because you have a vision, like you can see the world in a way that allows you to do that, and you should have the confidence to. So that's a very good comedy lesson. I like that.
Just I'm learning the hard way that you need to remember about other cultures. Because, like, again, I was in Taiwan in December, January. I just got back from Prague. And
you barely pay attention to this culture of acceptability.
I love my country. I'm not a massive fan of living in it. But no, like, my hands are kind of fucked up. I got all these like wee cuts just from the cold. Like, I was walking about, it was like -7 degrees. My first morning in Prague was spent waiting outside a fucking Primark to buy gloves. And then like my knuckles started bleeding just because of how cold it was.
That's crazy.
And my first night in Taiwan, I slept naked with the window open. So I usually sleep in my cover, just kind of over here with my arm under it. And I forgot about the mosquitoes. So when I woke up, there was 5 in my room. I had like 12 mosquito bites over like my back, my arm, the back of my head. And then like I swatted them all, and there was just like big bits of my blood all over the wall.
Oh!
It was fucking gross. So yeah.
I had to really fight the urge to go, and that's how you got AIDS.
Thankfully not. I was going to say I came back all clean, but I didn't, did I?
No.
One wee extra souvenir from the Taiwanese.
A spreader.
I missed a class the morning I found out as well, because I was listing all the men, and most of them were in Taiwan, that I had to message and be like, ni hao, I have bad news.
Such a slag. Such a slag.
Well, I mean, only abroad, because like here I'm a fat cunt, but out there I'm a white fat cunt.
Unique, special.
Yeah, apparently. People did tell me that, like, apparently, like, whiteness is, like, kind of fetishized over there. Like, I know we talk about racial fetishization, you know, as a very negative thing, but there it's just like, I'm me. So I'm like, fetishize away, objectify me, it's okay.
Humans are weird. They like what they like. So yeah, let's round up again, right? And remind us of all the shows and the things that you've got coming up.
So there is Alan J and Matthew Hayhow are Gay and Lame on the 13th of March at 7 p.m. in the Dram. Then there is Hot to Go, starring me and Kyle Samuel, on the 15th of March at Tenants at 10:30. Tickets are £3 unless you get a concession, which is £2.99, and you can use the code concession299 to get it for £2.98. And that was Kyle's idea.
Love it.
What a lad. And then the biggest one is probably Dean's, but that's sold out. So
yeah, fuck Dean. He's had his promo.
Well, he is doing another one.
Yeah, I
which
think
you can find out.
I can't remember which one. What date is that one? Do you know? Or both of them? Do you know which one yours is on?
I think it's the 30th.
Because I'm trying to remember. I think I maybe got tickets for the 30th. I can't remember.
Hope so.
Yeah. So I can.
And what shows do you have coming up?
I've quite a lot of shows because this one actually, unlike any other episode of this, is going to come out within like a week of filming it, which is rare. But I have I'm at like Diversity Quota next week, and then I can't remember. Tonight I'm at Frontier and Bells Hill. Everybody knows that I cannot. I tried to say Giggles for Glasgow the entire time Yvonne was there, and I just couldn't. I kept going, glass cow. Yeah, and I'm on a show called like 4 Wrong Blondes, which is somewhere.
Only one of you are blonde and there's not 4 of you.
Yeah, I'm tempted to wear my my blonde wig that night and just be like ruin the illusion of the not being a blonde. And then I have basically the most important one is come see my show on the 27th of March at Drama 8:30 called Why Am I Like This? It's going to be really funny. It's going to be really funny. I'm supported by amazing Mara Joy, who was also in an LGBTQ Newcomer Finalist.
Yes, with myself.
For being Hulk Hogan, which was fucking... No, sorry, Macho Man Randy Savage. Jesus.
I think she's a Hulk Hogan as well.
Is she?
I think so.
Well, the bit she did then was Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh! Anyway. So, go follow Alan J Comedy. Yeah, that's it.
On Instagram, TikTok and YouTube.
And go share his stuff. Go get tickets for his shows, Gay and Lame and Hot to Go.
And I will message when I'm free of gonorrhea.
Yeah. It's not contagious unless you do...
Want a good time.
Yeah, unless you want a good time. Unless you do things to Alan that I'm sure he'll enjoy. So, thank you so much for coming on. That's awesome.
Thank you. I sincerely had nothing better to do.
Just good having a kiki. Getting the girls together.
Thank you. And I love you, Sammy, even though if touching you will
I'm now
make me all
covered
snotty.
Yeah, he's just at the worst point for it as well. But thank you very much for listening to Out on a Limb. I have been Kat Powell. It's been Alan J. Anal Bay. Much love, guys. Bye-bye. Woof, woof.
It's Out on a Limb.
Hey, if you dug this episode of Out on a Limb, make sure to subscribe for new episodes every month. Come and party with us at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival on the 27th of March at Dram with my show, Why Am I Like This?